Hi, everyone. Good Friday evening. For those of you who don't know me, hi, my name's Tracey. I'm the relatively new youth ministry lead here at MBUC, and I'm the one who does your Friday night devotionals with you guys. So super excited to be doing this as I enter into my own time of Sabbath tonight and tomorrow. And this is a good way that I like to go into Sabbath because it's a good devotional time, and it makes me be accountable to the fact that I need to spend some time with God on a Friday evening, which I really like. So this month I've been doing some Good News Fridays, and it's been a lot of fun doing these Good News Friday stuffs and hearing from some of you about what it means to have good news and what the good news has been in your life these last couple months or these last couple weeks, because the last 18 to 19 to 20 months has been hard on a lot of people going through COVID and having to isolate, and for students being away from school, being away from their friends, and being on Zoom all the time can be really, really hard. So it's really exciting to bring some good news to you guys these last couple of weeks. So I think it was last week or the week before that I talked about the translation of the good news or the word the gospel. So gospel, when you break it down, it means good spiel. So you're kind of spieling out the good news to people. And we even have a Bible that's called the Good News Bible and the Good News translation of the Bible. And sometimes I really like to read that one. It's a very uplifting one to kind of go to sometimes. And the New Testament authors use the term good news or gospel to mean a news of salvation or news of liberation from sin and brokenness and from the estrangement from God, which we see in the Old Testament right at the very beginning in Genesis, where we have the fall of creation. So God reveals this good news through Jesus and through Jesus's ministry, his death, and of course his resurrection. So in Matthew chapter 11, verses 4-5, it says, Jesus answered them, "Go and tell John what you hear and see. The blind received their sight, the lame walk, the lepers are cleansed, and the deaf hear, and the dead are raised, and the poor have good news brought to them." So I really like this one because it kind of just reminds me that at the end of the day, when Jesus comes back and we're all in that space of redemption and savior and being saved, by God and Jesus in his second coming, that every ailment that we have will be healed. And I don't know about you, but for me, that is so uplifting and is such a good news kind of vibe and good news story for me because, as some of you may know, I have a couple of chronic illnesses, one of them which requires me to have a service dog. And that's partly because I have epilepsy, and I have what they call static epileptic seizures, which means a lot of the time they can go on for up to 20 minutes, and normally they don't go any shorter than about 10 minutes. And I always have to have some kind of medical intervention to stop my seizures, whether that's oxygen or Ativan or surgery. One of those kind of things has to be done 99% of the time for me to stop them. So the idea that one day when Jesus comes back or when I go up to heaven, I will be free of all of these kind of things that confine me and kind of restrict me at times, or at times honestly feel like they're weighing me down a lot, is such a weight off my shoulders in a literal and a metaphorical sense, because just knowing that God is going to be there and God is going to heal everything in my life is just so overwhelming. And just to kind of go into some of the real good news that has been happening lately for a lot of us is we have been in church in person for the last couple Sundays now, and that has been really exciting. I got to be there for launch Sunday, which was on the 12th, and I got to meet a lot of people in person for the first time, which was really, really cool. And then last week on Friday, we had our very first in-person youth gathering for the first time in 20 months. So that was just absolutely insane. And we had so many youth that some of them were meeting each other for the very first time in person, even though they've been in groups online together throughout COVID, and meeting and talking about the gospel and talking about faith and interacting in these different ways, but they never actually met each other in person. So it's really, really cool to get to meet a lot of the youth and a lot of the youth parents for the first time in person, and to see that interactment between the kids. Whether we were playing icebreaker games outside, or we were signing up for things, or the kids were just talking to each other. It was so great to see how happy they were just to be around each other again, to be in the same building as some of these people, again, that they haven't seen in so long, was just very heartwarming. So that was a bit about the good news going on around the church, with the affinity group starting and the youth group starting up and having in-person services again. But what is some good news that has happened for you? Has there been good news throughout COVID? Have you tried to find the good news throughout COVID? Because it can be challenging, but I encourage you to try and find something each day, one good thing in each day, that can kind of be a spirit lifter for you. And maybe that requires you going into the gospel and spending some time with God throughout the day, even if it's just 5-10 minutes, spending time with God throughout the day. That can be helpful to lift your spirits as well. So another thing that I've been doing is I've been finding different areas where good news is spread on the internet, or with different shows and stuff like that, or with newspapers. And one that I found recently during my kind of searching through stuff is called Uplifting News. So if you've never heard of it, I encourage you to go check it out. There are some just quick facts and stuff like that of some good things that are happening around the world, or around Canada, around the US. And it's really interesting to just see even those quick little 2-sentence things of something good that has happened, and good things that are to come in the future. So I encourage you to check that out, and check out some of the other ones that I have been talking about over the last month or so. And, always the Good News podcast that we put on with the church is always a good one to listen to. I like even re-listening to some of my favorite episodes. So that can be somewhere where you go for good news. So what is one thing that you do, or that you're going to try and start to do, to try and find good news in each day? Let me know either in the comments, or you can message me on Facebook, and we can chat there about what some of the good news that's going on in your life, because I always want to hear the good news stories that are happening for people in our congregation, people outside of our congregation, and in the community. And for me, the community is very broad. I work at MBUC, but I am in school and live in Ancaster. So the community is very large. So even if you're not in the Brampton area, that's okay. Tell me what your good news is from wherever you are. I know through the pandemic, we've been reaching people all around the world and all across Canada. So send me your good news stories, and maybe I will bring it up and share that with people next week. All right, everyone, I hope you have a lovely rest of your evening and have a wonderful weekend. And I hope to see you on Sunday, whether in person or online. Bye, everyone.